Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Hope you guys are doing well today. In this video, we're going to be looking at a Theatre of Pain run, and we're going to be doing a live commentary. So, the purpose of this, lots of people have been asking about the Prot Warrior, about different talents, different macros, and things like that. So, we're going to try and include it all in this, and and try to do a live commentary with it as well. So, let's go through a couple of the macros, just 2 seconds. So if you are interested, just pause the video and you can see these. If you are interested and you can't read them, let me know and I'll leave them in the comments. But so this is my charge intervene macro. I very rarely use my intervene off this, but it is a backup. It'll only ever intervene if I'm mouse overing an ally. Obviously, it's how intervene works anyway. So that's my intervene charge macro. My heroic leap is just at cursor to stop me having to aim it. This just means that instead of having to select, it just automatically does it wherever you're pointing the cursor. I have a focus intervene macros. This is why it's very important as a Prot Warrior. You have a melee DPS in the group. For this, it's going to be a monk. So we've already got him focused and he will be the target we intervene mostly. We've got a rally cry macro that just shouts to say that I'm using rally cry. It's really helpful for healers to know when that's happening. Ravager, I have it so it casts at myself, which means it'll always drop it on my feet. The reason for that is it just helps with getting trash and just getting threat and things like that. We have a Shield Slam macro because I'm running Dreadfire Vessel. It just means I don't have to worry about proccing Dreadfire Vessel. It'll use it just as a DPS increase over the dungeon. And we finally have Spear, which is again at cursor to throw it at wherever my cursor's aiming. So these are the talents I'm running. Devastator, Double Time, Best Serve Cold, Crackling Thunder, Indomitable, Ravager, and Anger Management. Now, you can use things like Bolster, Booming Voice. There's a couple of different variations here. For the reprisal build that I'm running, Devastator is almost a must. Double Time gives you the... you basically want to keep a charge on cooldown at all times. Double Time allows you to do that. It's really nice and reduces the cooldown also. Best Serve Cold helps you with them threat issues, which I'm going to talk about a little bit in the run. Crackling Thunder, just increased range, which is nice, I guess. Indomitable, just for a bit of sustainability healing. Ravager for threat and rage, and Anger Management for cooldown reduction. So let's get into the run. Now, again, we're not going to pull everything here because I don't know what the group's like. This is a pug group. I'm not going to take the mic. From this, there's a couple of things I want to see. And these are things that you guys should be looking out for as well. Okay, so I've gone into the pack, I've charged in, I've got aggro on everything. I'm trying to keep that shield block active as much as I can. That's my goal in life at the moment. So what I'm trying to look at is the DPS. Okay, so we've got a monk who's kicking out nice damage. We've got a pally who's kicking out okay damage, and a priest that wasn't really doing all too much. So we have to be a little bit wary about our damage, especially on the bosses. I'm going to jump out here and charge back. This is something that DPS will hate you for doing because you're jumping out and moving the mobs and oh my god, inefficient. The truth of the matter is, you need to do this. You need to keep your mitigation up as much as you can. And while he's doing certain mechanics, is the perfect time for you to go out and do this. The other thing is it's an explosive week. Just to mention, the affixes are tyrannical, raging, explosive, prideful. We haven't got a soothe in the group, so I'm going to mark one of the casters first. Now we're going to go in, throw him a spear, and drop that as well. Hopefully one of them kicks, and they do after doing a little bit of DPS. So I struggle with threat a little bit just at the start of the fight because they've walked in, not giving me time to really do much. They've not kicked any of the mobs, they're just trying to do as much damage as possible. So to get threat there, I made sure I walked in, I threw my spear, I dropped Ravager. And the reason I lost threat is actually because I was trying to kick the mobs. Instead of just worrying about getting threat, I was trying to kick the mobs and be fancy. Don't be fancy. That's the golden rule. Don't be fancy. So one of the bosses here will always teleport out and do some annoying stuff. Perfect opportunity for you to get your charge on cooldown. You want to just keep reprisal proccing as much as you can. So right now, there's one of the bosses will teleport out shortly. There we go. And in doing so, he's going to do that. And we're going to bring him back in. So I'm trying to focus on the explosives just a little bit, just because they are an issue, and if they go off, it's probably quite hard for the healer to recover. It's only a 13 key, but still. You'll notice as well, you've seen in a couple of other videos I've done with the Prot Warrior, that I'm not kicking out as many revenges or anything like that as I normally would be. The reason for that is it's not a particularly nice affix week, and I want to make sure that we get through it with no real issues as opposed to trying to do uber deeps. And that's something that's quite important to recognise. Even as a Prot Warrior, your goal in a group is not necessarily to top DPS. Even though you may be able to run seismic and things like that, your goal in a group is to make sure, effectively, if you really want to look at it like this, your goal in a group is to maximize the amount of DPS that the DPS is capable of doing. Tanking the mobs together, tanking the bosses together, dealing with the explosives, all these sort of things allows the DPS to do much more DPS than had you have kicked out an extra 1,000 DPS by yourself. Now, of course, I'm not getting every explosive. In fairness, I'm probably not getting very many, but our job is to just take as little damage as possible. And as you can see, so I'm going to talk about a couple of add-ons and stuff here that you can see around the screen. The first one is details. I have 2 windows open on details. One is damage, one is healing. Now, some people ask me, is damage really necessary? Do you need to know who's doing the most damage? No. But I also know now that we've got a pally that's actually kicking a lot of damage over. If I look at overall, so is the monk. The priest, not so much, but we have 2 out of 3 good, strong DPS. I know I can carry a little bit of DPS myself. We also have a healer that's not afraid to throw some damage himself, which is really, really good to see. We then look at the healing. The healer is having to do 2.6k HPS. I've seen that fight where I've had to heal it with 6-7k HPS, which means I know I'm tanking well. It's a nice little checker. It's ultimately, okay, if I'm not struggling, if the healer's not having to pump all of his mana into me, then maybe I'm not too hard to heal. Now, I've gone into this pack here. We've gone straight in. We've thrown our spear down, and we've dropped Ravager. Did I need to pop both? No. But the next pull in here is the single mob by himself, and I don't need any help keeping threats, so I blow both. We wanted to kill it a little bit quicker. So we're going to go into the next mob here. Now, like I said, this is all live, so I've not pre-planned any of this. This is complete randoms. And this is where reprisal is really, really nice. It's about maximizing those reprisal times. The boss is going to cast Whirlwind. He's going to cast Interrupting Roar. During these times, if I have a charge up, I should be walking away and making benefit of it. So I'm going to walk away now, and I'm going to charge back in just as the Whirlwind finishes. This is giving me a ridiculously high uptime on shield block that I just wouldn't be able to achieve with any other legendary. Now, it's not quite up ready for this one. He has just gone into raging, so we want to make sure we're getting a little bit of active mitigation up. Whirlwind's coming, and we're going to jump in, and bang. So again, it's just knowing what a lot of the things with being a tank, and it's any tank, it's whether you're a Guardian Druid, and this is where my video the other day came in. Ultimately, if you're playing the easiest mechanical tank in the world, probably Guardian Druid at the moment, you can focus on things like boss mechanics. Now, I've just made a huge mistake, and I do want to point this out, is that I walked into that boss and got a little bit to this mob, and got a little bit too close and couldn't charge. Now, this not only means that I don't generate rage, I also don't generate a best serve cold revenge stack. I also don't get one of my charges on cooldown. So there's a lot of negatives to just walking into a pack. It's something that you should always try to avoid. But again, we've managed it. It's only a 13 key. I'm not particularly worried about it. Again, we're only 214 eye level. We're not overly well geared. And our stat weights aren't brilliant. He's actually hurting a lot. So we're just going to focus up here and kill the first pride. So there is a video of this route up on the channel if you are interested in the route I'm doing for the Theatre of Pain here. I will be trying to go back and doing guides for all the other videos for all the other dungeons as well. But something that's been really common at the moment is people asking about Prot Warrior and just how are you managing. Some people are really, really struggling with just being so squishy or not being self-sustainable. And honestly, Prot Warrior, you don't have sustainability by yourself. That's something that you're just going to have to get over and manage. You don't have the ability to be sustainable by yourself. You just have to be able to go, right, okay, how do I survive? And it's about taking as little damage as possible. Now, something interesting to note about this pack, I walked into this pack and I had a feeling that at least one of the DPS was going to pop cooldowns. I was right. The Ret Pally popped off and did nearly 30k burst. We walked into that pack. We charged into a best serve cold Revenge, into a spear with Avatar up. Not one mob lost aggro on us, despite the fact that a Ret Pally out of nowhere pulled 30k DPS. This is what we like to see, and this is what Prot Warrior is very, very capable of doing, is it has a lot of snap threat. A couple of things I will mention about that. So the first one is haste. Your stat weights are very important as a warrior. My stats are a little bit all over the place. I have a lot of crit, unfortunately, just because of the way my gearing's gone, which isn't ideal. But I do have 20% haste, which is not the best, but it's still very, very nice. It means I can walk into a pack and my first couple of GCDs are a little bit quicker than normal. You then have things like a weapon. You want to make sure that your weapons are quite good, because a lot of your damage is based on weapon damage. You want to make sure that you're not hitting them with a 160 eye level weapon, because you're just not going to keep aggro if someone's pulling 30 odd KDPS. You want to make sure you're using your cooldowns correctly. Me right now, there is no chance in this world I'm going to lose aggro on this Pride. It doesn't need to die any quicker than it really is. The healer's not struggling. Why would I use Avatar or Spear? I actually did use Ravager in that. It's probably a mistake, but I don't really think we need all of it for this boss. So we're going to go in. So first thing we're going to do, walk in, charge. We use Shield Bash, we use Best Serve Strike, and we use another charge of Shield Block. Now we're going into this. He's going to hit quite hard, so we're going to pop a Ignore Pain here. I actually Demo Shouted as well towards the end of it. And again, he's going to jump up in the middle. And what are we going to do? Well, I'm actually going to waste a charge right now, because he's not going to hit me for the next 5 seconds. There's pointless me having mitigation up now. Whereas as soon as this finishes, he does 3, we're going to charge back in. And this is what Warrior is all about now, and especially with this reprisal, and I can't really comment on the other play styles because I haven't got them, I haven't played them all too much. But as a Warrior, what is our goal? Our goal is to make sure that we're taking as little damage as possible while keeping threat on everything. And my job, so I've not got any mitigation up, so I'm actually going to pop Shield Wall Heal, because I know if I don't, I'm going to get chunked. And that's what cooldowns are for. People are very, very scared about popping cooldowns, because they think, oh yeah, but I'll need it for this in a minute, it's my emergency button. That's great, and it's nice to have an emergency button, but if you never use it, you're just wasting efficiency. Ultimately, you could have pulled 2 packs instead of 1 and use Shield Wall, instead of pulling 1 pack and then not having anything. So I'm getting to a point where I'm not able to charge the boss right now. I haven't really managed my charge stacks too well, so I used my Intervene just as that mechanic came up, and it's about watching the mechanics at this point. So unfortunately the Pally has died, so we're going to charge into the boss, shield block, and both of the DPS are going to go here. Now again, this is where knowing the mechanics as a fight is very important as a tank. I know this barrier is going to slow me down. I also know that this is about to hurt and I haven't got a intervene target, so I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to pop cooldowns, I'm going to manage explosives. I've really got to be playing on my aim game right now, which means I can't focus on everything. So the first thing I did was pop a Demo Roar. I want to make sure I'm taking as little damage as possible. Now, I expect the Chamois will probably die here. No one's really focusing the banner. It's got very, very messy all of a sudden. And Prot Warrior is probably the worst tank in the game to be dealing, or certainly one of the worst tanks in the game to be dealing in a situation without a healer. Just one of those things. We still have Last Stand, we still have Rallying Cry, we've still got plenty of cooldowns to survive. I was never worried about swiping there. And we still had Vial as well. So for those asking, oh, what conduits? You never showed us your conduits and soulbinds. I'm Renown 1. So I'm doing this all at a disadvantage as well. So anybody that is trying to do this right now, that's struggling, know that you can do it. Know that you can do it, and you've even got an advantage on me. You're not trying to commentate a video. You're not trying to worry about anyone else. You just focus on yourself. And yeah, the biggest advice I can give for a Prot Warrior, especially at the moment, is that they just don't know what a Prot Warrior does in a group. They know that Avengers Demon Hunter is going to pull lots of damage, they're going to kite around, and that's expected. Whereas a Warrior, they're not quite sure. So I haven't got aggro on a couple of things here. I think it was the little ones I didn't have aggro on. The best thing to do is to get people to stack up here, but in pugs, especially at lower level pugs, you're just not going to get people to do it. So we're going to get another explosive here, and it's just about trying to almost carry as much as you can. I've kept a really high uptime of shield block on this fight. And if you are just just watch this. Because that's ultimately almost your guide to how good of a Prot Warrior you're being. How often are you going into a fight or into a situation where you haven't got shield block up? How many mechanics are you taking without shield block? They're the real questions you want to be asking. So hopefully if we can get these to all jump together. Here we go. I've thrown my spear down and we should be able to do quite a lot of damage here. So bang, that's going to die. And let's go. So this is probably the riskiest part of this run. A lot of people can't seem to figure only doing part of a wing. They want to go into a wing and complete it, then carry on with the next one. This is the easiest way to do this by a mile, I promise. So what we're going to do, we're going to walk around this corner, we're going to do that, we're going to do that, and we're going to go up the stairs. There's no way they're going to let me... Now, look at their positioning. They're already on the stairs. There's no way they're going to let me drag them all the way up and line of sight them properly. Which means I have to be ready here to start grabbing aggro back. So I'm going to meet them on the stairs, we're going to drop a Ravager, and we're going to do as much as we can to get aggro. It was a nice little stun out of the pally, allowed me to get time to get the aggro back. I popped my shockwave after it, even though it was DR, just to clean it up a little bit. Now, I didn't get very many there, so what we're actually going to do is do another pull. Doesn't matter. This is where you need to be a bit flexible. Ultimately, as a tank, if you turn around and go, yeah, but I should have pulled 7 there, I only pulled 6, and you panic, you'll wipe. And you'll struggle. Whereas right now, I've gone, right, okay, I didn't quite pull as many as I needed to. I've gone out and I've pulled them back. Now, in a communicating group or a group on Discord or anything like that, that'll be much easier. Just tell them to wait there, I'll be back in a second. As you can see, I'm typing very brief messages in chat, and ultimately, I don't actually like typing in chat that much. You can't convey emotion or sarcasm or anything like that on the internet, and people don't know how to handle it. They will take it wrong, they will get upset, and they will get angry with you, even if it's not something you've intentionally done. So I say very little when I'm in pub groups, or I certainly try to, and it's probably a nice little mentality to get into. Actually, it's probably born of me playing a lot of League of Legends years ago. But we get all these souls down, and as soon as we kill this, we're going to go into a pride. Now, what can I do here? Very little. Ultimately, this is just one of those things that we're going to get a Portal Guardian that does AoE damage and a pride straight after. So immediately I'm going to go, what can I do? I can probably pop a rally cry. The Shami did very, very well getting the decurse off. So that goes down. We are going to take the ball. Why am I going to take the ball? Because don't trust anybody else to do it. Ultimately, as a tank, take it upon yourself and enjoy the fact that it's your run. You decide the route. You decide which packs are getting pulled. Enjoy that. And if you don't, then I'm not saying don't tank. I'm just saying that it's a different style of tanking to what you'll probably see a lot of on this channel. For me, I'm going to pick up the ball. I know which way I want to go. I know my route, and I'm happy doing it. So we're going to go in. Now, we go into this. There's 2 mobs. Both of them have a magic dispel. I'm going to immediately get in with the Blood Elf. I've shield bashed one, I've revenged the other. Now, we don't really get enough space to charge here, so we're not able to keep up our stacks very well, but they don't do very much physical damage anyway. Getting them down really quickly is nice for Pride, because you get Pride on this pack, which isn't very nice. Now, my priority here is to kill the Soulbinder. It does a nasty little AoE. It's very interruptible. It's actually very easy on like non-inspiring weeks to deal with this pack. Teams make it very, very difficult. So I'm going to pop Rallying Cry. And we stunned one, interrupt the other. Again, quite nice. We want to get them down really, really quickly. So one still died. I'm not quite sure what he died to, but that's fine. We'll let him get rezzed up. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hold the ball here. Why? Because it just stops mistakes. If I put it in and someone runs through and pulls, turns into a whole thing. If I just hold it a second, no one can do anything. So we're going to go through now. And this is something that I really underutilize, especially in pub groups, the ability to mark. Ultimately, mark targets. Give the DPS something to focus on. One, it means you can hit them easier and get threat easier because you know which one they're going to pump damage on. Two, it means that you can actually deal with priority mobs a lot quicker. These mobs are a pain in the neck to kill as two, but as one, they're actually very, very easy. So we've killed one, and now the second one should be much, much easier to deal with. So just while we're in a bit of a lull here, guys, we're about to come up to probably the hardest pack of the dungeon. But just while we're in a bit of a lull, if you do like this live commentary style, obviously I'll be judging it based on kind of the reactions that the video gets. Please do leave a like and comment and things like that. And yeah, we'll be trying to get all the tanks doing live commentaries, higher keys, things like that. So yeah, like I said, if you do enjoy it, please leave all that sort of stuff below. Much appreciated. So we've kicked the first Bone Spear. This is, again, I would say this is the hardest pack in the dungeon. So I'm going to pump damage. Okay, I have cooldowns. It's not an issue. I don't need to worry about surviving here. I don't think I'm the one that's likely to die. Short of being knocked off, of course. Which is a very viable possibility. I'm going to pop my last stand here. Again, I don't want the healer to have to worry about me either. I'd like him to just worry about everyone else. I'm going to go straight into Pride. That was actually handled really, really well. I'm really proud and happy of these guys. I know that maybe sound really condescending, but be happy. Like, tell your team good job. In fact, here you go. Oh, okay. Or Mose. Mose is cool. Yeah, so like, tell them good job. Like, it may sound condescending. You can't help that. If people don't want to take it the right way, they just won't. But ultimately, that was a really, really hard pull. It's a pull that teams do fail on regularly, especially with pugs. It's the one downside to this entire route, and this group just handled it like a boss. So happy days. The healer kicked out some crazy good healing. And actually, if we have a look, we weren't the highest healed there. That's really showing us that we're doing our job well. We got lots of interrupts off. And that's the other thing that you can judge on details as well, is interrupts. Overall, we're the highest interrupts in the run, and that's what you want to see every time as the tank. That's a really nice little statistic to have. And if I hadn't already said it, actually, in fact, let's do this one first before I get into that one. So as he draws soul, you can walk away and charge. Just get higher up time on that shield block. It's definitely worth it. What I was saying earlier, Omni CD is also all this stuff. Very, very nice for just seeing what the group has up. I'm very bad at utilizing it, but it's definitely nice to be able to see what they have, who has interrupts, who has raid cooldowns, things like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to intervene to one of the people having their souls drawn. Why? Just reduces the damage on the healer. Again, we're not here to carry the damage. We're here to allow the DPS to do as much damage as possible, to allow the healer to do as much healing and DPS as possible. We are as much of an enabler, and that's kind of why Prot Warrior goes against the current tanks. You look at something like a Demon Hunter, his whole thing is to put a magic debuff on people, to group them together and things like that. So that priest is in an awful position and he does die. There's nothing I can really do to stop that there. I'm taking a lot of damage, so I'm going to pop a load of cooldowns, probably too many. But we should be fine. Again, I have my avatar back up. And that's one thing to remember with this build as well. You're going to get avatar up all of the time. The more rage you spend, the more haste you have, the quicker your cooldowns come back. And it's really, really nice and fast gameplay. Now, we've kept shield block up for almost the entirety of this fight. I've still got 2 charges of charge. So we're going to go out and draw soul back in. In fact, we might even do it twice. There we go. So in between them, I did chuck a revenge out. You don't want to waste revenge charges because it's probably your highest kind of... It certainly does a lot of damage, so it's worth getting out. We are saving spear here. By the time I get to the next pack, I probably don't need it. So let's chuck it down and just get some more rage and execute some more. We are a DPS down, so let's just pump as much as we can. Now, looking at the time here, I say 15 minutes at this mark of killing the boss, and you've timed the run. Short of going massively wrong on the last boss, you've timed the run. We were slightly under that, but I'm not panicking. I think we're still in a really good spot. Because we've only got play to do. We've already done a couple of packs. We're going to skip a mob. So I've told them now. There's no arguments. There's no complaining. I've told them, and very simple. You don't give them an option. And it sounds really strange. I'm not rude about it, but it's just enough to go, guys, this is the plan. And if you walk in as a tank, you pull all the right pulls, you do all the right things, groups will listen to you. And when I say groups will listen to you, they will listen to your every word. Because they don't have to worry about anything. They don't have to worry about you going and pulling half the dungeon and then finishing on 90% or 150% trash, because you know what you're doing. You give a group that confidence in you, and they will not worry about it. You'll not get the arguments. You'll not get complaints. They will just do what they need to do. So we did get one of the charges go off there. It's probably because I was getting distracted and talking. Let's just pop IQD and execute that. So the explosive is going to die, and did an awful job of managing our shield block on that time, unfortunately. So we're going to look left. We're going to look right. Okay, we're going to go left. And we're going to go this way. So if you haven't seen, it's quite a common skip, this. Ultimately, with the route that I do, if you pull this one, you get the Pride a pack too soon. Not ideal. Whereas this way, you can just walk around it. The whole group gets through. Just double check as the tank. Just double check the whole group gets through. Or be the last one to go through. I like being the first one personally, just to make sure that, look, guys, if you go through at the same time as me, we're good. So I'm going to pop lots of damage here. We can already see the rep pallies ready to pump some numbers. So I'm glad I did a bit of damage there. But as you can see in this run, despite the fact we've got a pally that is kicking out some crazy, crazy numbers AoE, I think we've had maybe one pack where we've struggled at all on threat. And yeah, I think what you want to do is you want to make sure you get a nice, good weapon. Obviously, conduits, things like that, all helpful. And yeah, I don't think you should have any worries with threat on a Prot Warrior anymore. Survivability is the biggest issue because you don't obviously have that self-healing or anything like that. But yeah, I don't think there's much of an issue here. I haven't really panicked, maybe once or twice, but I haven't really panicked all too much. So we're going to go down. We have spear in 4 seconds. So what we want is for our whole group to group up here. It'll never happen, but if we can get most of them, it's a good thing. And we do get almost all of them, if not all of them, actually. Wow. So we're going to shockwave them afterwards, and about just keeping them CC'd. Again, enabling your group to do as much damage as possible. Because we kept them all CC'd, the little ones didn't really do anything. The big one didn't get a chance to cast, and happy days. Now, for those of you that don't know, these two mobs, they're a little bit of a pain in the neck. They do a little bit of damage, especially on Raging and Fortified. The Butcher has Devour Flesh. Now he's going to hit me and heal. Nothing I can really do about that. He also chops random members. The Diseased Horror doesn't really do anything all too much, but he does do a channel. That channel gives him a big, big shield. But because it can be interrupted, I always mark the Blighter, because it means that you kill the Blighter and that's the one that you can't stop. If you then focus on the Diseased Horror, you're pretty happy days. Now, we get this Pride down, and again, this route's left us perfectly 100% on this boss. We may get Bloodlust for the last 50% of the last boss. I'd really like that. That would be something that would make me mucho happy. And it may be even something, if it's within a minute or so, I even suggest we wait. I'd rather wait, get a guaranteed kill, than try twice and tilt the whole team. So we've got Pride. We want to make sure we go really, really quickly, and this is a boss that we need to worry about our shield block on. This boss does a lot of damage with his tenderizing smashes and hateful strikes. So again, you saw it's about 20% of my health, and that's through a shield block. You do want to just be making sure. Now, the little lads here, yes, you can get aggro on them. They kind of do their own thing. I personally don't worry about them, so I didn't have shield block up there, and again, already, I said we had to be careful. We weren't, and we took a bit of damage. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to let the tenderizing smash go off and hopefully charge back. We do get the charge back off. Make sure you're facing him. Again, if you're not facing him, then it won't work. And again, I'm playing like a potato on this fight, which is not ideal. You do not want to be a potato while you're trying to play and tank in WoW. It's not good. So Tenderizing Smash, we want a Hateful Strike back onto this. We're going to be able to. Going to pop a couple of Ignore Pains here. And again, we took much less damage there. Very, very good. If they all stack back up again, I'm going to chuck a spear down. There's a spear. Hateful Strike coming in. I shield block just in time through Intervene. Again, a little bit risky, but we've got to do what we've got to do. There's a couple of explosives looking to go off. I want to make sure that they don't. I don't really have a cooldown for this, so I'm just going to ignore pain. I could have demo shouted. And this is something I said really early on my channel, is that if you record your things, you'll look at the videos back and go, oh, actually, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. But just to look at that fight, it's a very tank damage intensive fight through Hateful Strikes. The healer only pulled 2.9k HPS. I don't know what eye level he is. Let's have a look. 221, so he's definitely capable of pulling much higher HPS, so we should be pretty happy with ourselves that he didn't feel the need to spam us. Now, we've got less than 2 minutes on Bloodlust. We aren't going to two-chest it, so that's not a factor. I'm actually going to suggest we just take a second and wait till it's about... Oh, okay, it's just gone down to a minute, so I'm not. So we have very little we can do as a group here. Certain tanks, things like Blood DKs, can grip the adds in together. The adds are just going to have to be something we're going to have to just kill. The boss, however, we can spell reflect every other scythe. Now, that's going to help us reduce our damage by a lot. Now, I'm standing too close. So I'm not going to be able to charge there. So I had to run out, quickly charge back in. We want to make sure we charge, otherwise we don't get the shield blocks and reprisals. So we're going to spell reflect this, and boom, we did 25k with our spell reflect. It's going to help you kill the boss a little quicker and take much less damage. Now the next Reaping Scythe, I'm going to make sure I've charged back to the boss. We have an Ignore Pain up. And I'm going to put Demo Shout up. So we shouldn't take all too much damage. We still take a fair bit of damage. Unfortunately, that spell is just redonkulous if you haven't got a cooldown for it. So taking a little bit of damage here, going to just intervene away. You can get Impending Victory or Victory Rush, whatever you want to call it, from the Deathwalkers. So if you do hit them and happen to get one, make sure you're using that. Again, charging about, trying to get that off cooldown. Going to Spell Reflect the Scythe here, and boom, do lots of damage. Now we're going to go into 50%. Doesn't really matter about this second rift. The second rift doesn't spawn any adds, so we're just going to move far out away that we don't get stunned, but we do want to phase him during this. So here comes the phase. We want to be bloodlusting, and we do. I haven't got any cooldowns here personally. I haven't got a defensive for the next scythe, so I just made sure that I had shield block up, which I do. I'm also going to shield wall this one. I probably could have got spell reflect off there. I didn't see how long it had. It's very, very close to be able to hit all of them, but not quite. So we're actually safe where we are, as long as we don't go too far forward. Going to hit the explosive. And this one does have adds, so we need to be careful. I'm actually going to deal with my adds myself. I'm going to spell reflect this. Going to rally cry here. This is probably the most dangerous part of the fight. Lots of damage going out, especially with them Deathwalkers. There's 2 spears over there. Going to make sure that we're not in the way of any of the dogs. We're not here. Let's get out of the way of the Dark Devastation. Trying to dodge everything. Okay, we've got 1 person dead. What does that mean for us? We need to be kicking a little bit more damage out if possible. Now, I didn't have anything there to stop the damage, which isn't great. This rift doesn't have anything. We are going to jump away just so we're not going to get stunned. We can spell reflect to the next scythe. So where we are, we're safe. Next scythe, bang, is going to hit himself. And we've got a second DPS dead, which isn't great. But the boss is going to go down and we've got 5 minutes left. So guys, random key. Live commentary. Tell me what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to show you the loot. Bang, we got nothing, because of course. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Please let me know what you think of these videos down below. And yeah, catch you later, guys. Bye.